Okay, let's open up lineups again. All right, the buttons across the top are used when you want to create a new lineup. The first one, existing, creates a new lineup from a previously used or an existing lineup. The second, players.dbf, creates a new lineup from data stored in the players.dbf table. We'll get into this one in more detail in another video. The third button, fieldview.dbf, takes the data presented in a field view and turns it into a new lineup. The thought was it might be a good starting point for your first couple of lineups. You edit the field view, then click this button. Now I don't use this because it doesn't designate the substitutions or position changes. You can add these moves in the View Edit Browse feature, and I'll show you that in a minute here. Once you've made a couple lineups, I think you'll prefer one of the first two options. Okay, let's look at the three buttons below the Create Lineup option. The first of these buttons, View/Edit Data, is one you'll use frequently. Let's click on it and take a look. The first menu displayed lists each of the database tables you can access. The first contains details of your lineup stored in a table named lineup.dbf. We'll get back into this one in a sec. The details of your player roster are stored in a table called players.dbf. Let's open this for a peek. There are two view/editing options. You can click on the first option, Browse View, or use the arrow keys, mouse, or touchpad to highlight your selection. Let's click on the first, the Browse View. You are immediately asked, active players only? After you've used the system for a while, you'll have players leave and come back for any number of reasons. You can mark a player inactive and temporarily eliminate them from these listings, mark them active, and they're back in. Then you're asked if you want to add a player. If you say yes, a blank record will be added and is displayed at the top of the browse window. I'm going to say no in this case to adding a new player. The next menu lets you pick the order or index order to use. Notice in the last three questions asked that a selection was already made. I call that the default response. These are the responses I found I use most frequently. You can usually just hit the enter key unless you have some unusual need. The browse view looks a lot like a spreadsheet. The first row displays the column names. In database lingo, these are the field names in the database table. Each row going down the view are the database records. Each record contains the data stored for each player on your roster. To make a change, click in the box or use your arrow keys to access the data to be changed. Make your changes and then tab or hit enter to move out of the box. Any data changed is saved and replaces what was there as soon as you tab or click out of the field. Pressing the Control key, holding it down, and then pressing the W. Now that's important. You press the Control key down, holding it, and then press W. So we call this Control W. Closes the browse window screen. Let's look at the form view. Again, you are asked active players only. You're not asked about adding a player because, as you can see in the form's navigation bar, there is an add button that will let you add a new record to the file. All form views have these navigation bars to let you move from record to record. You can use the find to locate a player, delete to completely remove a player. To make any changes, you first have to click on the edit button. And finally, to close the form, click on the exit button. Before we exit, notice the four tabs, each containing additional information. Notice also, throughout the program, one of the letters in the button's label is underlined. This is a hotkey that you can press instead of clicking on the button to access the feature.